Hi there, welcome back to ADSR Massive Tutorials. Get yourself subscribed to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ADSR Tuts. This is part 2, the kind of dark bass and resounds feature we've been doing using Native Instruments Massive this month. And in part 1 of this kind of feature, we made this sound here. We looked quite heavily into sort of key tracking and various different kind of modulators. Using Massive just to create that sort of Reese kind of sound that's, you know, constantly moving. We've got some automation on this loop as well, so this sound is being quite heavily distorted using Fabfilter Saturn. So in this tutorial is going to look at how we use this multiband distortion unit to just kind of bring that sound, just take it to a different level. If I turn the distortion off, back on. So yeah, I'll point out now, actually, I didn't mention this in part 1 of this feature, but once this feature's finished, end of October, we've done the 4 videos and the kind of the sound bank, this is going to get passed over to the contact site, and the guys there are going to start resampling some of these bass sounds and just using contact to just take it in a completely new direction. So if you're not subscribed or you don't check the contact site out, then make sure you get yourself over to contacttutorials.com. If you use contacts, get yourself subscribed in there, and then you'll get an email letting you know when those videos are going live. So back to this tutorial, let's just turn off Fabfilter Saturn for now, and just kind of recreate that sort of multiband distortion process that I had going on there. So yeah, this is the raw sound basically, which sounds okay. And I mean, the thing about distortion is it responds to what you kind of put into it. So we've got quite a nice, well, relatively clean sound. There's a bit of modulation, there's a bit of grit on the top end, but it's quite a nice even sort of sound, you know. And so kind of running that into a distortion unit and driving it quite hard, we're going to get some quite nice results. So let's start off here, this Fabfilter Saturn. So what we can do in here is with Fabfilter Saturn highlighted, you get your arrow pointer and you notice this plus button comes up here, and then you can just start splitting these frequency bands, and you can get up to 6 different bands in here, and then you can apply different kind of amounts of distortion and tone and drive and dynamics to each of these individual bands, which for me, applying distortion to a sound, especially a bass sound, just gives you so much control over how you're affecting the sound. So it's going to start off in here, band 1, and this frequency range, I was going to take this up to about 120 Hertz. So it's the kind of lows, the bass, and the sort of like real low kind of frequency going on in here. We can even solo this band here, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm just gonna kind of drive this a little bit. I'm going to keep it on the warm tape distortion setting, and just push the drive up a little bit. Keep the level as it is, so we're not affecting that kind of real sort of subby frequency too much. That's staying quite pure because we've got that nice sine wave going on in the sub range there. Take the solo off. Let's move to band 2 now, and this is where we're going to start really affecting the sound a little bit more heavily. So I'm going to pull this band over like right up to about just over 2K, and in this kind of mid band, or kind of, it's like the mid-range frequency, solo this, and actually change the setting to gentle saturation. Gives a slightly different sound. And push this drive up. And you notice we've got these EQ sweeps going on, like the automation. This is going to really sort of respond to that and give us a really nice kind of vocally almost sound, really. So you can push some tone up in here as well, some lower mid. And also these dynamics, we can just sort of compress these kind of mids a bit as well. So let's look at band 3 now, and we can take this up to about 8K. So we've got about 2K to 8K, and in here I'm going to go a bit heavier with the distortion now, so heavy saturation, drive it again, similar amount. Getting that really fuzzy top end, compress it again, bring some more of that top end out, which on its own sounds a bit strange, but getting that really kind of heavy fuzzy top end and just quite a nice warm. It's heavily distorted, but it's not overly distorted. It sounds quite nice. So final thing is this kind of real high frequency range. Some of these distortion types are quite experimental. So these ones down here, smudge, rectify and destroy, just completely sort of like smash the sound to bits. So I'm going to use smudge and just solo this, and then just drive this again, and it's creating, it's quite quiet, you can hear it, it's creating a, push the dynamics up to sort of compress it again. We're getting that weird sort of like kind of rolling sort of high frequency. It's almost like noise really, but it's just the very top layer of the sound. So I'm going to take the mix down on this top layer a little bit, just to blend it a bit more. And it just kind of takes that sort of distortion, just brings that bass up to a completely different level. Another thing I wanted to look at here was some sidechain compression, but some sidechain filtering on the sidechain compression. So I'm going to use Fabfilter stuff again. I'm going to go for the Pro C this time, compressor, and what you can do, this has got a really kind of intuitive, if you hit on the expert here, in really intuitive sort of sidechain, mid-side processing and kind of sidechain filtering section. So I'm going to mute this break for now, look at these drums. If we hit hold on here, if you get the multimeter, press hold, it's going to hold on those frequencies. See the kick drums around 80 Hertz and the snares at about say 160, 170 maybe. So what we want to do is, what we can use this compressor here to just duck those frequencies basically on the bass, rather than just doing a sidechain compression where it's ducking everything. We just want to duck those frequencies so the bass is ducking on the kick and snare and not on the highs. We don't want that full kind of like sort of sidechain kind of effect thing. We just want a functional, right, let's duck those kind of lows and lower mids and just create more space for the kick drum and snare. And it might be easier to duplicate this drums channel and use a separate track and use this the kind of sidechain, and just take the stereo out off of this sidechain feature. We've got no output here. Mute the drums for now so we can hear what this sidechain is going to be doing. And go back to this kind of bass, and we've got this compressor set up here. Sidechain function, audio free for the sidechain, and also in this sidechain kind of, so this compressor knows what to read the sidechain signal from. Check that to external, and now it's reading this drum channel that we set up. It's reading that as the sidechain function. And what we want to do is use this. Down here we've got a frequency kind of like selector, so we can select what frequency range to duck on this bass sound. So we want to just look at, we want this kind of like this kind of bass, this sidechain compressor, we want it to take its cues from the kick and snare. If you remember, we looked at the kick and snare and they were like 80 to 160 Hertz. So what we can do in this kind of like frequency band range, we can just select this to sort of like look at those frequencies basically. So go from about 68 to about 235, and then we can audition here as well. So we're auditioning what we're listening to, what we're kind of using as the sidechain filter. So at the moment, yeah, we've just got the kick and the kind of the sort of like the thwack, I guess, or the hit of the snare. Let's back this release off a little bit. So push that threshold up because we've got about 8 dB of sidechain compression going on there. We don't want that much. About 6 is okay. We need to tweak the output level as well because we're getting a boost in kind of gain there. So all we're doing now is here is we're ducking these kind of lower mids, the kick and the snare out of it. If I take this kind of sidechain filter, if I just push this all the way to the top, getting a duck on the kind of high frequencies as well, which is not necessarily what we want. As high frequencies are staying unaffected and we're just kind of ducking the bass out of the kick and the snare, which is going to give us kind of a more of a rhythmic feel really. Just creating more headroom in those kind of like the lower frequency range. So okay, so I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Any questions, please do get in touch, let us know, and make sure you get yourself to massivesynth.com. Tons more tutorials on Native Instruments Massive. So hope to see you for part 3 of this feature. We're going to be synthesizing some more dark bass and resounds, and yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Cheers, bye.